Good morning, Coolest Coast. It is time for Coffee with Kristin and Tina. Good morning and happy summer. Welcome to Coffee with Kristin and Tina. We're your hosts. This is Kristin Odell of KLO. I'm Tina Prigge of Vagabond Creative Studios. So happy to see you this morning, Kristin.
Good morning. Hey, I just realized we picked the same tonal colors again today.
I know, it's amazing. Now, I think your shoulders are exposed, but the color of my shirt looks like your shoulders.
I know, that's so funny.
Yeah. Great minds, they say.
I have not worn this shirt in a while, and I was like, today it's going to be warm, but on the cooler side of warm. I'm going to go for it. So,
It's funny. I was telling somebody, man, it's really warm here. This was like on Monday, I think. And she was like, oh, what's the temperature? And I looked, I'm like, it's only 70, but the humidity was so high. I was like, huh, it's so strange.
the humidity has definitely like fallen off. Like I noticed this morning at the gym that just the air was much lighter than it had been. Good morning, Mary.
Good to know. Glad to know it. Because I went outside I finally gave in to my son's begging to turn on the central air. I try not to. I like enjoying the seasons the way they are. But I'm like, fine, because it was so hot. And I flipped on the switch, crickets. Like nothing. Like not even the motor kicked in. I was like, oh. So
have you resolved that yet?
So we have made arrangements for it to be repaired, replaced, whatever it takes. But we're like a geographical oddity. So we're like 2 weeks from wherever those parts are. So it'll be a while. So it'll probably be like just in time for like the cold weather. I'll have AC.
Well, I mean, we've had a couple of days of really warm. Like our AC's been running the last couple of days, but we are definitely, I think this is growing. Doug's an AC guy. I'm a fresh air girl. And we've kind of transitioned where, especially if the nights are cooler, we have windows open because it feels so good to have a breeze through the house.
I agree. And the other night when there was that huge storm, we did crack the windows a little bit just because there was something in the air that was incredible to experience.
Yeah, we had our bedroom window open until it started, and our curtains were like, I woke up to the wind like making chaos, and I was like, okay, we are awake and we are shutting the window.
And when I grew up here, it was really rare if somebody had AC. Mm-hmm. So I told my son, now you get to experience what it was like 30 years ago.
That's right. Well, I mean, I think we've had some really hot days, but I do think it's supposed to be better now. I think I saw a high of 72 today. And again, the humidity is a little bit lower. So that feels like temperature is going to be just a little bit lower today. I feel like a weather girl.
And it turns out you can forecast whatever you want and be completely wrong and like still have a job.
Yes.
That's got to be so tough. Anyway, hey, have you been camping through this heat and humidity?
We did not camp this last weekend. We were home, which was great because it rained so much. It would have not necessarily been a great weekend. Let's see. I think our next weekend for camping will probably be in July. And then we're taking a big camping trip out east in August.
Ooh, out east. What's your destination?
The final destination is Portland, Maine. But we are going to make some stops at Port Huron, which is the southernmost tip of Lake Huron, and Niagara Falls.
Oh my gosh. Have you ever had the girls there before?
No.
Oh, no. It's incredible. And I wonder if it's extra powerful just with all of the precipitation, if it's higher water flow.
I mean, even, Silver Creek and the Manitowoc River they were crazy on Sunday. I don't know if anybody else noticed that. We noticed it. But yeah, we're excited I've been to Niagara Falls before, but they have not. And none of us have been out to Maine. So we're excited. Like August is like the warmest, best time of the year to get out there. So
awesome. I went to Maine many, many years ago. My girlfriend lived there, and it has this cool feel. It's very similar to Wisconsin, but like if you saw Wisconsin's wild side, what I mean? It's yeah.
I just can't wait to eat like lobster and crab at every meal. Right?
Right. And Niagara Falls, I haven't been there since I was a kid, but it was so powerful. I mean, literally standing there, I don't think there's any experience I've had where you just feel like that power.
Yes.
Like water rushing.
It's so loud. And you're right, so powerful. I was there in winter,
Oh,
and everything, all the trees and everything were iced over, and they were so heavy they were like touching the ground. So this will just be a really different experience to be there in the summer and be able to kind of hike around and get on the trails and different things. So
yeah.
see ya.
Will you take that Maid of the Mist boat that kind of goes down below the falls?
So we've had this discussion. So there's like a family budget of something to do, and um, Doug is not really a fan of getting on a boat that like drives into the chaos. Um, so we've been talking about that, which I think would be kind of cool. The other thing that we've looked at is there's a zip line that runs from over the falls all the way down the river. So you get this amazing view of the river and the falls from a zip line. I don't remember how long, it's super long. So we haven't made any decisions yet.
Take lots of pictures to share with us all.
I will. I will.
Hey, where is this then? So this is not camping, but it's a beautiful photo. I
No,
love the
this is
sunset.
not. This is last night. We were at Petskull.
Tell me.
So last night they had food truck night. Tuesday nights are food truck nights downtown. And we met another couple down there and had some dinner and just kind of visited. And then Paul had his patio open and they had a band. And so after the other couple left, Doug and we played one game inside. If you didn't know, Petskull has games. I'm a
I
game
didn't know
junkie,
that.
so I love it.
So they had the board too?
Absolutely. So we played a couple of games of sequence in the building with some friends. And then I said to Doug, do you want to go sit on the patio and like play one more game? So we sat down and yeah, we had to take in sunset from the beautiful patio there and just hang out. And
I love that. I love that they have games. And okay, I saw a post online about the Skull Shack. So is that like an outdoor bar or like
so I think it's actually that little building that's to Doug's right in this picture. Yeah, so you don't have to walk inside if you want a beverage. They have a smaller selection, but a number of things that are available right outside. So like on a food truck night, it's within the same vicinity and kind of easy to grab a beverage if you want. So we
that's
just had a
cool.
super relaxing night. It was beautiful. And I won at cribbage, so that always helps. I know Doug is going to come home today and he's going to say, I knew you were going to say that you won at cribbage.
It's the whole reason you play, right? For those bragging rights.
Yeah, it was just so gorgeous.
So, Kristin, since the last time we met, it was a pretty incredible week. Dr. Temple Grandin came to Manitowoc and she made an appearance at the Capitol Civic Center. And I was really fortunate that the library asked if I would serve as the interviewer. So I got to spend some time with her and then interview her on stage. And it was just this incredible experience. And I just wanted to share this moment that I love. This is when we were both waiting backstage while they were making some announcements before we got to go on. This is a view that a lot of people don't often get. And this was just, so special, like that moment of anticipation before stepping onto stage.
I can see the kind of excitement in your hand. You're kind of like, yeah, I can just like feel what you're feeling, anticipating, hearing your name get called and getting to walk out there. So I just saw Lisa's comment. She said, great event. I have seen so many comments and heard so much incredible feedback about that event, about the topic. Just the entire thing sounded incredible. What was the highlight for you? What did you learn?
Well, okay, let me show you something. I got to spend time with her from the airport to Manitowoc, and we made a little pit stop. Can you tell where we are?
Quick Trip.
We stopped at Quick Trip. I found out that Temple Grandin thinks I'm picky. So we were driving from Milwaukee Airport to Manitowoc, and like around Port Washington, Grafton, somewhere in that area, we decided, okay, let's take a quick Trip pit stop. And both the librarian that was driving and I were like, let's do Quick Trip. It's always reliable. You know where the bathrooms are. It's clean, blah, 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 blah. So she pulls off and there were like 2 gas stations and she pulls in and she's like, oh, rats, this is not Quick Trip. I chose the wrong one. Should we just try it? I said, no, Quick Trip is across the street. And Temple Grandin literally turned around in the car. She's like, you are picky. I'm like, you haven't been to a Quick Trip yet. Trust me.
Was she impressed by the quick trip or disappointed by the quick trip?
She didn't really say. She didn't say. But I just thought it was funny that I got called picky. But I have standards. So
That's right. Listen, when I travel, especially by myself, if I can, I go to all quick trips because I feel like they have good snacks, they're safe, they're usually very well lit, and the bathrooms are clean. And who wouldn't want that?
yeah. Connor said, to be honest, his eyes were tearing up at the end of the conversation.
Oh, I love that. Okay.
Another little sneak peek, on the drive, she started talking about the Boeing Starliner. So the Starliner went up into space and docked at the International Space Station, and then experienced some issues. I think something with the thruster, but I'm out of my league talking about whatever the specific issue was. But in the car on the drive, she was thinking about it, thinking through, talking about how, yeah, the engineers came up with this, but nobody with her capacity for visual thought really thought through all of the possibilities. What could go wrong? If it does go wrong, what are the redundancies? So it was really on her mind. And you can see she had on this cool shirt that had an outer space pattern, right? So it's got stars and planets. So when we got to Manitowoc, we had a little bit of time before we had to get to the Capitol Civic Center. So we showed her the ring of Sputnik. And I said, it's good luck when you come to Manitowoc to make a wish on the ring. So she went up to the ring and she wished for the success, like a successful resolution to the whole Starliner issue, which I just thought was such cool insight into what was on her mind.
I saw it and I just love, so she probably had no idea that little nugget of history is in Manitowoc. Is that right?
Say that again.
Did she know that a piece of Sputnik was here?
She didn't. She had no idea. So
Right.
the librarian was going to make sure that they took her to the Robert Museum the next day so she could see that and learn about it.
Right. I mean, I just think what a cool little nugget when she's having this discussion about space and space stations to just have that thing right here, in Manitowoc. I mean, it's just.
Yeah, and I love you can just see the space motif on her shirt as she's touching the ring.
Look at that. That is an incredible shirt. Can we just talk about that for a minute? The other thing I noticed is she has I don't know what the technical word is, but I'm going to call it a brooch almost.
Yeah, like a bolo tie.
Yes, with her initials on it.
Yeah.
I love that. I know when you put the picture up, I was like, wait a second, look at how cool that is.
Yeah, she's got a very unique style. Connor also mentioned, so Connor says he's autistic, and he said, quick trip you can rely on.
Consistency. I love it. Okay, what was the highlight of your conversation? What did you think? Was there a peak climax moment in the discussion?
So it was funny because based on space and based, in her books, she's referenced like Mr. Spock. So I said, you're talking about the Starliner, you've got the space motif shirt on. Let's talk about Star Trek. And before I could even ask the question, she's like, oh my gosh, I love Star Trek. I love Mr. Spock. And she, so it was really fun because it was also lighthearted. And, the question was, Gene Roddenberry really seemed to try to create like an all-inclusive world. And did she think that any of the characters like Data or Seven of Nine? And before I could even finish that question, she said, yes, they were autistic. They were a representation of autism. So it was a great connection point.
I love that. Was she able to share any other places in cinema or, where you see that representation?
Well, there is a biographical movie called Temple Grandin, starring Claire Danes, where Claire Danes plays Temple Grandin.
Okay.
That was one of the questions. Like, were you involved in that? Did you have any say in the script? What did you think? How did you feel about being portrayed by Claire Danes? She said she loved it. First of all, she said it was a really good interpretation of what it's like for her to think visually. And then she said Claire Danes did such a good job. She once heard an interview or a playback or something, right, of Claire Danes saying the lines, and she wasn't sure if it was herself or Claire Danes.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
Super high praise, right?
Wow. That's pretty neat because there's a lot of movies that come out about people's lives and they don't always feel good about how they've been represented on the big screen, right? And so what an amazing thing. Thanks, Connor. What an amazing thing for her to feel so good about it.
Right. And you know what, Lisa, thank you. You're right. So before the show, they had decided that she wouldn't go out and sign books or anything like that. They didn't want any kind of fire hazard because it was a full house. Every seat in the house was full. They wanted people to safely get into the auditorium. But before the show, she like kind of broke the rules and she went out and just kind of, circulated amongst audience members and had some conversations. And she mentioned it a number of times during the interview. She's like, I broke the rules and I went out there, but I had these great conversations.
I love it. So it sounds like she's very relational also then, like that connection with people is super important to her.
Yes. I think because she's shared her story, she appreciates hearing others' stories and also hearing how her stories have positively impacted the lives of others.
Right.
So I do have something else I can share with you guys. So at the end of the show, rightfully so, the audience stood up and gave her a standing ovation. So like a full house standing ovation. Jason happened to have an all access pass. So he was on stage. So there's like the perspective of Temple Grandin. I'm just going to play it for you. It's kind of cool. Isn't that powerful?
I saw that yesterday or the day before. I don't remember when it went up. And I was like, what an incredible acknowledgement for her. Just, again, encouragement to share her story, gratitude for her being in our community. Just, yes.
Yeah, I loved it on all accounts. Hey, Mary's got a question. Do you like having a schedule to stick by, or do you prefer winging it? So she likes going with whatever happens, not having a strict schedule. What do you think?
Well, Tina, I think I know the answer for both of us. I am a schedule queen. Everything is on my calendar. There are moments and spaces of time that are open-ended and not scheduled, but if there's anything that I need to do during the day, it's definitely on my calendar and time is set aside for it.
Yeah, definitely. If it is anything work related or anything I've committed to like be somewhere for someone, it's got to be on the calendar.
Mm-hmm.
It just helps with expectations, with planning. But then I feel like that also helps me fill in the spaces in a loosey-goosey way, right? Like if I know these are the points where I've got an obligation, but this other time is free, yeah, then, if it's just fun time, I'd rather not have a schedule.
Right. Yeah, and I think especially, we try to make more space on the weekends to do other things or kind of go with the flow. But I like Monday through Friday, especially our girls play softball and we have other things in the evening. And so that like either Doug or I create those calendar appointments for the games and we drop them on each other's calendars. And so I'm just going to say grinding out the week sometimes. But when we get to the weekends, then it's a little bit more free flow, which is nice.
Yeah. Hey, I just want to go back to something too. Connor mentioned, he said that the Maid of the Mist was built by Burger Boat, which, first of all, that's cool. And then he followed up and said the Maid of the Mist is the US Falls tour and Hornblower is the Canadian tour. He said it's not chaotic at all, just mist everywhere. It's not dangerous. It's not like it's an adventure experience.
Good to know, Connor. You're helping my case here about getting on the boat. I just think the perspective of being in a boat and being able to look up at the falls would just be so cool compared to, hiking along it or being outside.
I think if you could do all of those experiences, if you could zip line over it, if you could kind of hike around the room and just get close up to the top where you feel that power of the water. Yeah. But I think I was 8 when my parents took me on the Maid of the Mist, and it was such a memorable, cool experience.
Yeah. Well, and don't you get the poncho or the rain jacket and
yeah.
It's just been a really cool experience kind of planning. We've never done anything like this with the kids. So just planning out what our stops are going to be and what we can do along the way. So Mary, this is like a great thing. I have all of our campgrounds booked all the way out and all the way back now. And we know kind of where we're stopped. We've kind of picked spots where we can do laundry because we have to do laundry. We've never done laundry while camping before. So we've kind of got those things planned out, but like what we decide to do in between there, we're just going to choose to be flexible. And like, if we see something cool, we're going to do it. So
nice. Okay. Now just like looping back to Temple, Connor said, Thomas and Friends was mentioned. Thomas the Tank Engine.
Yes.
And how first the viewer, the kids, watch the show, and then eventually growing kids become older and see how Thomas and Friends can expand interests, like how and why certain trains do certain jobs and the real life basis. It goes on to say, expanding interests.
Yep. Which I actually think is a representation of like people's strengths and what they love to do, and being able to see that in characters on the screen.
Yeah. Agreed.
So fun.
Hey, I also want to mention there is a new shop in Two Rivers. It's called Wildflower, and it is an outdoor outfitters. So like anything you can think of, like for hiking, for camping, for all of that. And I love that. I love that so close to Point Beach, right?
Yes.
As an outfitter.
Where is the store? Do you know where it is on like Washington Street?
Yep. So if you come in on Washington Street and then you take a right and go over the bridge. So don't go all the way down to Quick Trip, but before that, I think it's maybe 17th Street Bridge.
Okay.
Does that sound right? If you take a right and you go over the bridge, it's right over the bridge on the left.
Okay.
And I think the outside of the building has kind of a funky, cool mural on it. And then inside, there's this new mural that Jason painted. So it's like this whole wildflower scape.
I love it. So Jason painted those flowers along the wall?
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's so not Jason. What a cool opportunity.
Yeah. I love that.
Buy anything at the store?
Fellow entrepreneurs. Well, he's like, Tina, there was so much I wanted to buy. You have to come back with me. So
yes.
I think she officially opens on Friday.
That's awesome. You know, Two Rivers I've done a couple of times, meet a girlfriend for coffee in Two Rivers and just kind of walk up and down the street. And, you know, there's some great stores like the Paper Crane, and obviously Schrader's is just a classic that just has a huge variety of things, but it really is kind of fun to venture across to Two Rivers and check it out.
Yeah. And the beach, we drove, we rode our motorcycles through the beach last night and then up through Point Beach and kept going north a little bit, but it was packed. It was so packed.
Well, it was such a hot day yesterday. What a great day to get your bikes out.
Yeah.
I mean, we die for warm nights like that.
Right. I said to Jason, it's like the perfect summer night and the views were gorgeous. I'm like, look at where we live. You know, it felt like we had gone on vacation somewhere to take in the sights, because everywhere you looked, it was just, you know, this beautiful farm with golden light on it, or this beautiful field. So nice.
We rode on Sunday. We did a quick ride out just to Two Rivers, and we sat at Cool City Brewing on the patio and had lunch, and then hopped back on the bike and rode home. And it was so gorgeous. I got to wear a tank top too, which you don't get to do on the bikes very often. It's usually too cold.
So when I ride, I do ride with leathers, even though like yesterday Jason went with his short sleeves. I get pinged by bugs and rocks, and I'm like, Like after a ride, there's like all these dead bugs on my. I'm like, I am not going to short sleeves.
I have the benefit of riding behind Doug, so he is my windshield. But I should ask him if he has had that experience. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes too, like on my helmet, it'll like, you can hear this like snap sound if a big bug hits you. Like, oh God.
We do wear helmets. We do definitely wear helmets, but I'll have to ask him if he's had that experience. We don't also go we don't typically go over 50 miles an hour in general, just because we're kind of out cruising. You know, not like on the interstate or anything like that. So
yeah, 45, 50, I think is a great speed.
It is.
We did, when we started going through Point Beach last night, which I just love that drive. It kind of meanders through all these beautiful trees.
Yes.
Right as we started, I looked up and there was an eagle sitting on a branch of the tree. I was like, oh, I was like, Jason, can we stop? But we didn't, but we kept going, but I was just like so blown away. And then, you know, but eyes on the road, because then a little ways ahead, there was this buck standing in the road. I'm like, what is happening? Jason's like, we're like in Snow White.
You're in the wildlife scene. Yeah, you're taking it all in. It's Bambi.
You know what else is wildlife? Little kids. I got to spend some time with my nieces, and I think this one's going to take after Uncle Jason with his Grateful Dead hat there.
I love it. She's like, ta-da, look at me.
And look at this is the new little baby.
So many snuggles. I was looking at Saphira's little onesie, just thinking back about like how much I miss those kinds of like patterns and clothes, you know, the little like onesie long sleeve and just, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Look at this one. I don't know if you can read the shirt, but it says Auntie's Girl.
Oh, did you buy that outfit?
I didn't. I had nothing to do with it. They have a girl that is helping them out this summer, kind of like a nanny. And she's just so thoughtful. She's like, Tina, I knew you were coming, so I put this outfit on top to put on her.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Will you guys get to celebrate the 4th of July? Will you spend some time there?
No, we did go down and spent all last weekend. And then my parents are going to go this weekend. But for 4th of July, we are going to try going beyond the bounds of Manitowoc County. So far, the furthest I've ridden is Algoma. And we're going to try to go as far as like Eagle River and up north.
Whoa, big ride.
I know.
That's awesome.
I know. I'm a little nervous. But, we'll have to like chunk it up and take some breaks, find quick trips, things like that.
Will you take a backpack? Will you stay overnight or will you do it all in the same day?
Oh, yeah, no, we're going to go slow. And Mary, no plans, no specific plans, just kind of get as far as we can. Ideally, we'd love to take like maybe 4 or 5 days and if possible, get all the way up to Ashland. But I said to Jason, if we don't, like if we poop out at Eagle River or Crivets, even like wherever we end up, if we feel like we need to turn around, I'm good with it.
Right. Have you ever been to Dave's Falls in Crivets?
No.
That is a great little spot to take in a local waterfall and like pretty light hike.
Oh.
And there's a lot more going north, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What's the resource? How do you find out like where waterfalls are?
If you internet search Wisconsin waterfalls, there's like a map with all the parks on that have it on there.
Okay.
I don't know if it's a state website, but there's definitely a resource for it. So.
So viewers, let me know like recommendations for falls, in northern Wisconsin. That would be a great reason to take a break, to have a little side trip.
Yes. Yeah, just get off. Like, when you haven't ridden that long, you don't know how long you can really ride before your like legs are going numb or your hips hurt or whatever. And just having an opportunity to hop off and walk a little bit and then get back on is always nice. So,
and my bike is just a little Sportster, right? I don't have one of those huge bikes that can just muscle through anything. So like if the conditions are a little unfavorable, I get nervous, right? Yeah. Like I start to white knuckle it if the wind is too gusty so more stops than less when that's the case.
Well, I hope the weather cooperates so that you guys have that amazing drive because it just sounds like such a very cool opportunity.
Thanks. I hope everyone has a wonderful holiday and gets to enjoy it and that the weather cooperates. Hey, Kristin, would you do me a favor? Today is my mom's birthday. Can we sing happy birthday to her?
We totally have to. Happy birthday, Diane. Oh my gosh.
A 1, a 2, a 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear mom. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, happy birthday, Mama. How old is your mom? Can we say that on air?
How about if I tell you this? She was born in 1950, so it's really easy to do the math.
That is amazing. Your mom does not look that old.
Aw, thanks. She'll appreciate that.
So friends, there's a ton happening on the Lakeshore for the 4th of July. All kinds of events down at the wharf, all along the Lakeshore, the Yacht Club, the YMCA, Maritime Museum. I think Jeff Tess is doing quite a bit of stuff with the military. So be sure to check it out. I think I saw Mary say, is there a listing anywhere? I'll see if I can find it. But if you are around town, get out and enjoy and support all those local activities. It's so cool.
And snap some great photos of what you're doing here on the coolest coast. And then even share them in the chat. That would be awesome.
Yes. So, and just so you guys know, we are not doing the show next week.
Right. Good reminder.
We are taking the week off to celebrate the holiday. Tina's obviously going to be cruising on her motorcycle.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Yes. Doug has some extra days off next week. And so we're going to be getting some stuff done around our house. And we are hoping to get in our first outside of Manitowoc County ride. I think we're going to hit up Kewanee or there's your mama. Good morning, Diane. So yeah, we're going to be off. We're taking the holiday and we'll be back the following week.
And Mary says, we'll miss you guys. We will miss you guys too. We can't wait to come back and talk all about it. So we'll look forward to seeing you guys the week after Independence Day. Take care, everyone. We're your hosts, Kristin Odell of KLO, Tina Prigge, Vagabond Creative Studio. This is Coffee with Kristin and Tina. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys. Have a great